It's June 25th, Anthony, and I can't believe we're at it again. And I have no idea where this show is going to be headed to today.
I got a blue tie on.
And that's the way we got to love it. All right, we are back. It is Thursday. I cannot believe it's already another Thursday. Anthony, one thing about being stuck at home for all these weeks and months is it just seems that one day spills into the next over and over again.
You know what? I'm just excited and I'm happy, and I'm choosing excitement and happiness over everything else. And that's just the way it is. So who do we got on the show today?
That's great. All right, so we're waiting for one of our guests to show, who's supposed to be Lynette Eastman of the GM of the Surfjack Hotel Swim Club out in Hawaii.
Are you saying someone's late to our show?
I know, but I know somebody who's not late to our show, and that would be Chris Green.
What's up, guys?
Great to see you, sir. So, all right, before we get going and start talking to you at half past the hour today, we're expecting Dan Cockerell to be on the show. He's a great leadership executive who came out of Disney. You guys might be familiar with his dad, who also is a Disney executive. So it's going to be a really cool conversation, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say about leadership in these times and also what's going on at his former home company. Chris, you're on the road today, my friend.
I am. First time in a long time. Super excited. You know, it was 100.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to ask this quick question. When you're walking through the airport, there are people saying, "Hey, Chris Green, Chris's Corner."
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Lots of autographs, socially distanced autograph. No, I'm so excited to be out on the road. It was great to be out in the airports. I did have a connection, so I saw what that was like. I flew American, mask protocol in place. Everybody did a great job. Listen, the plane was full though. All the middle seats were completely packed, and it was an Airbus A320, so it was a big plane, and it was full. Airport was full. Charlotte Airport was full.
There was a middle seat.
Oh yeah. I didn't have an open middle. Yeah, there was no social distancing on the plane. It was just not going to happen.
But on Delta, they have middle seats. That's why I said I'm only flying Delta, because I am not sitting on a plane where people have middle seats. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it was. I have to say, after 100 days of quarantine, it was anxiety producing, even for me. And I'm a professional traveler. But yeah, and in the groups waiting to get on the plane, I mean, those small ends of the terminals where they push everybody down to one end of the terminal, it was packed last night at about 8 o'clock.
And when they were in the terminal, were people socially separated if they didn't know each other?
They were trying, but I'll be honest, there wasn't enough space. There just was not enough space. If you have 8 or 9 gates at the end of one of the terminals, there was just no way to make that happen. I saw that we hit 607,000 through TSA on Monday. And I think with the reduced number of flights, we're going to see this until the airlines start opening up.
Hold on.
All right, I got the numbers right in front of me, so let's read it right now. I could sense Anthony is hold up. You are correct. On the 22nd, there were 600,540 people went through TSA. The day after, 471 and change, and yesterday 494,826. All of last week. All of last week, well over 500,000 people. So the numbers are creeping back up. For those of you who are unaware of what traditional numbers are, they run between 2.3 and 2.7 million on any given day.
So what was yesterday? What was yesterday?
470.
Yesterday was 494,826. The day before that was 471.
So it's interesting. Last week was all in the 500s, 600s. Now it's 4. So is that preventing people from flying? I'll be honest with you. I was getting on 2 planes next week. I was going to Vegas and I was going to Florida. I ain't going nowhere, okay, because of what's happening. Disneyland is shutting down, and
not reopening on time.
I stopped traveling. I changed my travel plan. So here we go again, Chris.
Yeah, that's the biggest fear, and I'm wondering if we're going to see a dip in occupancy or a retraction, because I think people were pushing forward, right? And now they're backing off. And
I hope there is. I hope that we dude. I said, if we get this wrong the second time, we're screwed, and we're getting it wrong.
So, yeah. Chris, the problem is how the government's talking about a new round of PPP type money, but we can only go so long. That's just a fact. I mean, we're only going to be able to go so long.
People did it wrong. Remember 2 weeks ago we were on the show and everybody was happy and I was in a bad mood, and I said, this is going to go wrong. We're doing it wrong. So we got to either do it right or not do it. This is ridiculous. So I promised myself and Glenn I won't go off, but I am beyond angry.
Right. Yeah. So we have Lynette Eastman backstage. We'll bring her on in just 1 minute. But Chris, with all of these changes that are happening out there, with us seemingly going backwards instead of forwards, what does that make you start to think about as CEO of a major management company?
Well, it's how long is the tail going to be? How long are we going to, I mean, are we going to, by our bad, like Anthony says, poor behavior, extend this process? And if we do, how does that impact our associates and our business on a broader scale? And to me, STARS data just came out yesterday or today, and they're saying this year not as bad as they thought. They were saying before down, I think 58. Now they're saying down 50, but they're saying next year instead of up 48 off of that, they're saying up 40. So I think what they're saying is this thing's pushing out longer because of continued hotspots, and I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to rotate from Florida to other markets as people try to get better and then open up. I don't know that we're ready to open up as aggressively as we thought.
Yes, we are. We're ready to open up.
You think?
We are. Because New York did it. We're wearing masks and social distancing, and we're opening up.
But
it's not a hoax. It's not a hoax. And we got to social distance. Having American Airlines have full planes with middle seats is ridiculous. Having a plane that's at 60, 70, 80% with no middle seats is appropriate. That's it. Yes, we can open up.
Do you think, Anthony, though, there's a risk, and I am a numbers guy, but do you think that because there were so many infections in New York that if you take the multiplier that only 10% were tested, that you had 3 million really that were infected?
Yes.
That basically, though, you guys have herd immunity in New York,
No, we don't. No, we don't have herd immunity. Herd immunity. Listen, I'm not going to get into herd immunity because I don't want to get in a political conversation. I don't know enough about herd immunity. So no, we just stayed home. And then when we go out, everybody's wearing a mask. So there's no herd immunity because we didn't get sick enough. There's 3 million, 20 million of us. Okay, herd immunity is a much bigger percentage. So it's no herd immunity.
Okay.
We just wearing our mask. Like this morning, I went to the beach and I worked out with my trainer. Okay, for the first time we worked out in person. He got about a foot too close to me. I was like, yo, bro, I love you, but over there, bro, stay over there. And he was about 8 feet away, and that was comfortable for me. And he didn't need to be on top of me. He didn't need to hold the weight for me. It's like, stand over there, and I'll stand over here. So, no, it's not about herd immunity. And again, I don't know enough about it, but no, New York wasn't herd immunity. We shut down, man, and everybody wears a mask. Now I'm starting to see people get more comfortable, including my own friends and family. I'm seeing people, and I'm like, oh, dude, we got to move, but we got to slow down. So, I don't want to get into it. But I got you. And also, you have to understand something. You're taking numbers. When New York's numbers were going up, okay, you were taking it from 0 or 5 or 10, and it was multiplying, and then we stopped it, right? It was doubling, and we stopped it. Okay, we reduced it. So it was like 40 days going up, 60 days going down, or whatever the number was. Or if you look at the graph, 40% was going up, 60% of the graph's going down. So we got a hold of it. This is the problem. The problem with Arizona, California, and Florida. They're starting at 5,000. Okay, so their numbers doubling every couple of days or every week. Again, yesterday was the biggest number we've ever had in United States history. So the European Union is going to block us. So, dude, the hoteliers that were not letting their people wear masks, the hoteliers that weren't doing this right, the hoteliers with letting groups in the lobby without social distancing are a problem.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, for us internally, we've been great, knock on wood, right? We've done a great job. Our teams have followed all CDC protocols, masks, everything, and we've had very, very low incidences in our estate. The problem is going to be around us. I mean, I have hotels in Florida. I have hotels in other markets that are now experiencing spikes, and it's going to hurt our business just after we brought 100 associates back over the last 10 days. So it's I don't know. I mean, it's like navigating wearing a mask underwater in pea soup.
You got that difficult. Right. It's really difficult, and Americans are just refusing to do their part for the greater good of society. In the hospitality industry, right? What's that? Some Americans. I say that as a general term. Here in New York, we seem to be better than certain other places. But if we want the economy to move forward, if we want us to have future successes, if we want to be considered leadership in the world again, we all have to take our personal responsibility to make sure we can get past this and then lead our lives. All that's happening right now is that we're pushing out what could have been preventable to make inevitable. And it is so frustrating.
And again, you look at American Airlines, and I don't want to beat on American Airlines, but really, you have a packed plane with middle seats, so you're literally inches from people? Are you out of your effing mind?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. All right. Let's. You know what state is
I
not
wasn't
out
going
of
to
their.
speak about this. I wasn't going to speak about this.
I know we
Sorry.
talked about we literally talked about not talking about this before we went on air because we didn't want to get stuck into the sinkhole we were in yesterday. So let us go to our guest, Lynette Eastman, who's from Hawaii, a place that seems to be doing things in the sensible way. Let's find out what's going on with her. Lynette Eastman of the Surfjack.
Aloha.
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 Thank you for being with us at the crack of your dawn. We really appreciate it.
I have something special for Anthony. I got my mask.
Thank you.
And you know how you battle not wearing masks? You must have, well, especially for females, you're going to have all your different masks for different days. Put it in your car, put it in your bag. You just have to have it everywhere so you don't make a mistake.
Yeah, just become right because we walk out, we forget it. So
That's right.
And
That's
listen, right now, make it part of your wardrobe.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then
Oh,
old
yeah,
school.
he's got his
This is
Chesapeake
old
one.
school mask.
So how are you?
I'm great.
Tell me what's going on in Hawaii. Tell me what's going on in your hotel.
Well, first of all, before you tell us what's going on in Hawaii, let's orient the audience. Tell us about the Surfjack and where you're located in Hawaii so we can understand your point of view.
Okay, we are the Surfjack Hotel and Swim Club,
Yeah.
located on 412 Lure Street. So we're right off Kuhio, which is parallel to Kalakaua. So we are right there in the epicenter.
What island? I'm sorry.
I'm Waikiki, Oahu,
Oh, okay.
Honolulu.
That's where I was born.
Were you?
Yeah. Tripler Army Hospital. Tripler Army
Really?
Hospital. Yeah.
Parents military?
Yeah. My dad was Air Force,
Oh,
Anthony.
that's right.
Mine was military too. I've been to Tripler many, many times. But Waikiki, it's been interesting. The Surfjack, we're 112 rooms. We have everything from hotel rooms, which we call bungalows, to 1-bedroom suites, 2-bedroom suites, 3-bedroom suites. We have a full-service restaurant called Mahina and Sons, and we're kind of known for our local lifestyle vibe. And our decor is mid-century modern aloha. And through this whole pandemic, we have been open.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I want to congratulate Hawaii because if again, I know you don't want to read numbers today, but you haven't had any deaths due to COVID in a while. And yesterday you had 27 cases, which is an uptick, but not a great uptick.
I was looking at the Honolulu Advertiser, and yesterday we had 16 new cases, but total cases since March is only 835.
Right.
And standing is we're in the top 3 lowest in the country. And the 17 deaths, yes, we haven't had one in a while, but those deaths are associated with other conditions or elderly, et cetera, et cetera. We had 72,000 tests done, and 1.2 were positive. And out of the total population, I can see New York 20 million. Oh my goodness! But Hawaii has a total population of all islands 1.4.
Wow.
So we're doing really good here. The funny part, not funny, probably challenging part, is that we might be one of the lowest states exposed to COVID, but we have probably one of the strictest, which is probably a good thing as well. But like Anthony, we need to open. We need to lift that 14-day quarantine. And
Right.
what? As of yesterday, the governor announced August 1st, we're lifting our quarantines.
Did you say
So
August 1st?
your whole country your whole state was under quarantine. You couldn't in place. You couldn't leave.
Stay at home, 14-day quarantine, no inner island. They lifted the inner island 14-day quarantine on August 16th, and immediately my hotel went to 60%. This weekend, I'm 70%, and my July is At this point in time, 60%, and I have a feeling with the lifting that I might be able to grow with anticipation. Now, mind you, the Surfjack's business that kept us going is predominantly, of course, local business, and where we were very blessed to have is the TLA military, PCS in, PCS out. They're a very high rated business, lots of families. We're dog friendly. So right now in the hotel, we're probably today about 50%. We probably have about 30 to 40 dogs.
What? Wow. When are they letting people from this? When can I bring my dog from the States?
When you come, August 1st.
August 1st? You're opening August 1st, you said?
So-
But there's going to be some requirements. You're going to have a negative COVID screening at least 3 days prior. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. And I know personally that it's really not in place yet since they just announced it yesterday. My sister lives in Colorado. Her husband's in the military and she wanted to come home. So she booked her ticket for the first week of August. So when I texted her yesterday, they say, hey, you can come because August 1st, they're lifting the 14-day. Because the governor was saying that they've made arrangements with CVS around the country to help with this COVID screening so people can travel into Hawaii. And as of yesterday, it wasn't worked out. And some states, it might be a little bit difficult because they're not going to just let you go have a COVID screening. So, we're hopeful. And I just want to encourage the Americans that want to travel that coming. It's I don't want to call it the new normal because I hate that.
Right, totally.
We just got to do it a little bit differently. It's still, Waikiki is just starting to open again. The hotels, every time the governor announces a 14-day quarantine extension, the hotels that are closed stay closed.
Of course.
So we probably have about 100 hotels, 40% of the hotels in Waikiki open, but they're the small hotels like us where if we were closed, we would lose the same. So we might stay open and let the blood run through the hotel.
Yeah, I like that idea. Do you think that there's a possibility with all the spiking cases that we're having here in the mainland USA that your governor may choose to not allow people from mainland USA, but simultaneously will still allow people maybe from Japan and other places in Asia, which is a main tourism driver, to come over to you?
Well, that was the discussion prior to yesterday, that they just do a trans-Pacific, maybe not because the mainland was spiking, and to allow Japan and Australia, which is a big traveling company partner with us, like Surfjack. We have we're very different. We have 4 main markets, and that's Australia, Japan, and they go back and forth as 1 and 2.
Right.
Number 3 is California, makes sense.
Right, of course.
And number 4, because we are local lifestyle, is Hawaii.
Right.
Hawaii has been good to the Surfjack. We're not that old. We're only 4 years old. We're a toddler. And we're very cool like that,
I just love the whole vibe, the Hawaiian Islands vibe. That's just awesome. Thanks, Lynette. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's only 1.2 million people in Hawaii. Now I know why when I go to Hawaii in the height of the season, and it still feels like I'm the only person on the island.
Yeah.
Right now it's very interesting because when they opened the beaches maybe a month ago, of course, all the locals packed to the beach. So it's the first time, probably first and last, I pray, that it's just locals on the beach in Waikiki.
Right.
They just opened it's just a little sad when they opened the stores, the malls, the restaurants, the bars open last week, Friday. I could tell because I could hear them all having a good time. But in the mall, I would say at Ala Moana, which is a good sized mall.
I mean, at the food court.
Wasn't open.
Yeah, but it's going in the right direction because you guys did it the right way, and that's what's important. I tell you, I've said this before on the show. I didn't want to go to Hawaii. I wasn't interested in going to Hawaii, and because I figured an island's an island, and I went to Hawaii, and I was like, oh my god, if I would have got stationed there in the Air Force, I would have never come back. Seriously, I would have come back. I know.
Well, a lot of people retire here.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
I got a question for you that
Sure.
has nothing to do with the hospitality business. But here in New York, we're like, all the time. And you guys in Hawaii, no matter what stress you have, are like, all the time. What is it about your culture that keeps everybody so relaxed and chill? Is it just that you're on an island? Is it the weather? What is that magic? Because I need a little bit of that in my life.
It's the spirit of aloha. And aloha means the breath of life. And so we are kind to each other. As you know, in Hawaii, everybody's brother, sister, brother, sister. Also, I wanted to say this. COVID hates sunshine. It hates warm weather. It hates, as a hotelier, it hates the chlorine in the pool.
Right, totally.
Well, I hate to tell you, but Brazil's blowing up, and they got a lot of sunshine too. But anyway, but when I was going to interrupt you before you answered it, but I didn't want to because then Glenn gets mad at me, and I was going to say exactly what you say. I've only been to Hawaii 3 or 4 times, and I know the spirit. The spirit is you're all brothers and sisters, and you're all one. And like I wish in America, if one person was getting hurt, another person would come and help them. Like in continental, but in Hawaii, you don't mess. Like if somebody outside of Hawaii comes and messes with somebody from Hawaii, it's going to be a problem. And I just love that spirit. And you get the essence of simplicity. And I think if anything, what this has taught me, I've always been a very gracious person with a lot of gratitude, always. And I'm very grateful. And even through COVID, I'm becoming more and more and more and more grateful and more appreciative of the little things. And I think that Hawaii just gets that. As soon as I go off the plane, they just get it. And it's not like you go to other islands and you feel like it's, because it's fortunate here, let's make believe. Like Hawaii doesn't feel like anybody's making believe.
It's the Hawaiian culture is just genuinely caring and compassionate. And we now have become just a melting pot of many different backgrounds. I myself, my parents immigrated from the Philippines. Both my parents were born and raised in Hawaii, one on Maui, one on Oahu. My dad was in the military. So although I am a local to Hawaii, I was born in Germany as a military brat. But I've been home now since 1973, and I was 13 years old. And I just love the islands. And I can't imagine living anywhere else.
No, I don't blame you.
I can't imagine that I just did some simple math and you're the age that you are. That is you look so much younger. It is the spirit of aloha, alive and well.
Spirit of aloha, you just treat people the way you want to be treated. And I think that's one of the things about the Surfjack. It's the vibe. Mid-century modern is cool and everything. They're beautiful rooms. When you go into the rooms, you feel like you're stepping into a bungalow on the North Shore. And also the employees are the number one feature of the hotel. And that is that they are so personable. They share that spirit of aloha, not in the luau sense, but in the, how can I help you? We walk in the beginning, the TLA military families coming in, they would stay with us for a month and they would be quarantined. They were subject to the 14-day quarantine, although the governor has lifted that. But we would walk their dogs. So it's pretty funny because you'd see them just come in and out. You can tell when they got to go to the restroom, 7, 9, 12. So we are definitely dog friendly, any size. We got the small ones, we got the big ones.
Well, doggone it. That sounds great. All right. One quick question for you. When's the best time to visit? October? And then beyond that, I would love for you to share with us one lesson that mainlander hoteliers could take away today regarding how you're serving your customers and making them feel safe and secure right now?
You know, I think it's what Anthony said. You just got to continue to practice the protocols that are in front of you. They need to wear their masks. They got to use their gloves, depending on what area that they're in. They need to practice the 6-foot rule. They need to practice. One thing that's great that we can do here is that everything is centered around the pool and right, boom, as soon as you walk into the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just being alert and then sharing that, we call it mana, that love with your guests. And that's much more than checking in and checking out. It's just, how's your day? Where you going? Step out. Our hotel, there is not a closed desk or it's behind. It's just a desk with an opening. So our employees here are trained to come out. And now this is not in the COVID environment. You got to be a little bit different. We used to do sit down, one-on-one check-ins, give them a refreshment, some treats, which is really nice for us to do. And of course, we can't do that now. So now we just have to be creative to be able to give that same feeling that they are so welcome right off the bat.
Beautiful. Now, I know we're running up against time because Chris has got a big meeting. Chris, any final thoughts from you on Hawaii or anything else before you go and you get to it?
I just think it's great hearing from Lynette. I mean, the spirit of Ohana and aloha. It's what we all want in hospitality. So thanks for sharing that with us. You guys, I try to share what. Yes.
Can I have a job? Just kidding.
Sounds like you're doing great at your job. I think I need one in Hawaii. I've been really transparent sharing with you guys what I'm doing. So this today and tomorrow I'm in meetings with our insurance provider across all of our hotels and our corporate insurance, as all the insurance environment is changing. And it's something that we're going to have to look at closely, all the way from workers' comp environment to the GL environment. So we have big meetings covering those two things over the next 2 days, and that's what I'll be spending time doing, working on getting our business going. Listen, I'm pleading with you. I was in the airports. Everybody do your part, because my team needs you to do your part so they can get back to work. I got people sitting on the sidelines that need to work, and they can't if we're spiking cases. We just can't do it. So please help.
So Tuesday, when you come back on, Chris, can you do me a favor? I'm really looking forward to it. Can you bring us through every detail of the insurance meeting?
Yeah, as much. Right. That'll be the worst attended show. That'll be the worst attended show ever, Anthony. So thank you all.
Hey, thanks,
Lynette, aloha.
Hasta luego.
Bye.
Mahalo. So, our next guest is going to be coming on in a few minutes. Used to work at Disney, and one of my favorite restaurants at the Polynesian Resort was she just totally dropped off. Was Ohana.
That's right. We'll move on. We said bye. Bye.
Yeah. All right. See, she just totally dropped off. So, all right. Hey, spirit of aloha is well in her, or maybe the spirit of mahalo and goodbye. So, it's great to see that Hawaii is doing the right thing out there, Anthony. And I guess as an island state, they have more control than we do here in the tri-state area. And for those of you who don't know, the tri-state area, the three governors got together and they have closed the borders for folks from outside the state, demanding if you come in, you do a 14-day quarantine, which is the rule in Hawaii. I don't see how you enforce that. You can't, but I guess
will tell you, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about rainbows and butterflies.
Let's do that.
All right. What's your favorite butterfly?
Only butterfly I know is the monarch butterfly, but they're pretty awesome.
That's the one with all the colors?
And they fly like thousands of miles to where they were like born after a couple of years or something like that. It's pretty impressive that something so small could fly so far.
You know what I miss? Do you remember? I would imagine that you in the Long Island did this. You used to get a butterfly net every summer and you used to go catch butterflies.
I never see butterflies anymore.
No, but remember we used to catch butterflies. We let them go, but we would catch them, put them in the jar for a second, look at them, and let them go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish we would get
Remember
back
doing
that.
that? We did that every single summer for years.
Yeah. So speaking of summer stuff, and hey guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask us while we're waiting for the next segment, throw them in there. We'll try to answer them. But the thing is, it's lightning bug season here, Anthony. And I thought growing up that was something that was absolutely everywhere, right? But I had a buddy here that was over from the UK, and we were hanging out in my backyard, and it's evening, and the lightning bug started going off. He's like, "What the hell is that?" He had no concept of lightning bugs. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen lightning bugs in a while, but I tell you,
Yes,
we have a serious bug problem everywhere, and
also known as fireflies. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't usually get a lot of insects around where I live, and we've gotten a lot. I mean, around my house and in one of our bathrooms around the molding, they got in, and there was literally 1,000 of these little bugs I've never seen before the other night, and I freaked out and sealed the window and exterminated it. But it was the bugs are, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with COVID.
Yeah. Here's something that's bugging somebody. Why don't housekeepers get benefits, even part-time? Hey, Dan is backstage. So answer this question, Anthony, and then we'll bring in Dan.
Listen, because hotels are owned by independent owners, and independent owners in markets that aren't controlled by unions, New York, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago, have very strong unions, and they demand health benefits. There are some hotels that have health benefits for all their employees, and some don't. And every business is it's a private business, and they do kind of what they can afford to do. With that said, I wish every single person in America had health benefits.
Excellent. But I do too. Let's bring in Dan Cockerell. Yay! Let me start off by saying I love myself some Dan Cockerell. I had him on the podcast. What was that, Dan? About a year and a half ago or something like that?
It was.
Yeah, and man, you are such a positive spirit, and I love learning about leadership from you. So I'd like you to meet Anthony, Dan, Anthony. Before we get into the leadership stuff, I just thought.
Am I allowed to say hello? You said Anthony, meet Dan, and you didn't let me say hello. Can I say
sorry?
hello?
Yes, please.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, Anthony.
All right, sorry. I just got to get right into this. Dan, I know you cut your teeth. You were VP of the Magic Kingdom, so I'm interested in seeing what you're thinking about what's going on. Tragic news yesterday that they had to push back the Disneyland opening. I'm getting scared the same thing's going to happen at your former home base in Florida. How are you seeing things right now? What do you think can be done? Anthony and I here are kind of pissed that we don't feel that society is looking out for each other enough to ensure the opening of businesses.
And Dan, what was your prior job at Disney?
I ran the Magic Kingdom.
How cool is that?
Wow. That's it? That's all you did?
Well, I did my best.
Actually, I didn't realize, but the reason I'm in the hospitality business is because of the Magic Kingdom. Going down Main Street and watching how everything was so clean, and I literally became obsessed with understanding how they kept everything clean. And when I took over the Nickelodeon resort right outside the gates of Disney, the first book I read was obviously Walt Disney's book. And one of the first lines I read, or I remember reading, was don't ever build things for kids, build them for parents, and kids will come.
Right.
And Nickelodeon, we did it exactly the wrong way. And then I read the book because I wasn't there when they built it, but I was like, okay, so we got to focus on the parents. But I learned a lot from reading his book.
Yeah, that was, Walt Disney, that was one of his basic tenets when he built a theme park. He said, I want a safe place that's clean where and families can enjoy themselves together. And that's been the mission since 1955 up till today. It hasn't changed.
So how long did you run it?
3 years.
Okay. And what were your positions before? Because you're a pretty young guy to be running Disney World.
Well, I wasn't running Disney World.
No, just the theme park. They got.
Well, that's pretty. Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Disney World. Is the same thing.
No, my whole adult life, 26 years, 19 different jobs. Started parking cars at Epcot and had 19 jobs after that. So we're big on moving people around. I love diverse experiences, and I left 2 years ago. People thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
But my wife said, we're doing this, and I usually do what she says. So we did it, and now we're running our own company, and I'm sitting here in Boulder, Colorado, visiting our daughter, staying here for the week, doing a podcast with you. Life is good.
Life
is different. Isn't it great? Like being an entrepreneur is intense, but it's fun. And like I said yesterday to Glenn, I'm writing a chapter in my book that says, happiness is hard.
Yeah. I mean, I got up at 5 o'clock this morning. I've been working constantly, and I'm going to be working the rest of the day, and I love it.
Happiness is hard, but it's worth it.
All right. So obviously, you focus on leadership. You speak to a lot of companies in this regard.
Yeah.
But in order to make that step, you said you had to leave your job. Security, comfort, a path forward for your career. What a great business to be a part of. What makes a guy like you take that risk from something so secure to go to something that is so unknown?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things. One is, I couldn't be doing today if I hadn't worked at Disney for 26 years. So there's no doubt about that. And I learned a ton about culture, leadership, operations. I mean, everything you learn when you operate there. But I got home one night sometime in maybe 2017. Basically, it was more than a full year before I resigned. And I walked in one day, and my wife said, now, some days she'd walk in and she'd look at the look on my face and say, "Was your day magical?" And she'd say, "Why don't you just go take a run and come back, and then or forget the run, just have a beer right now and we'll talk later." But I came in one day and she said, "Are you still enjoying what you're doing?" And I said, Of course, I was trained. The gleam on my tooth, ding.
Yeah.
I work at Disney. And I thought about that question for a year. And for a year, we talked about, do you enjoy what you're doing? And I said, things are changing. I'm changing. And I started to realize, and we have 3 kids, and our youngest just went off. He just finished his freshman year in college. So we knew we were going to be empty nesters soon. So the risks were a lot lower. Our kids, the tuition was paid for. Cool. We weren't going to disrupt their life. And I had a fantastic role model, my dad. He worked for Disney for 16 years, and he retired back in 2006, 14 years ago, at 63 years old. And he had a whole nother second career. He wrote 4 books, keynote speeches, websites.
They're on my shelf.
I think I listened to your dad speak not too long ago.
That's Lee Cockerell, for those of you who are curious.
Now, I don't remember the name. So was your mom sick?
Yes.
Okay. Has she passed away? She passed away, right?
No.
She didn't. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, but she was very, very sick.
She almost did. She was that close.
Right. So this was when your mom was real sick, and your dad did something. I believe I was in Vegas, and your dad came in. Matter of fact, you'll know if this is your dad or not. At the end of the thing, he picked up the phone and he said, "As great as this is," or maybe a BlackBerry at the time, "as great as this is," he goes, "I still carry this." And there was a little notebook.
Daytimer.
Right. A little date, right with a pen. He goes, "But don't ever forget this." And that always stayed with me because I'm an index card guy.
Yep.
And so your dad was very inspirational.
That's great.
That's awesome.
And I talked to him. I said, "Look, I'm thinking about going, but I think I'm crazy because I get bonus and I get, stock options and I get paid every Thursday and I get to run this place." And he put me over the top. He said, "Dan, you could totally go do this. Everyone's going to want to hear about your experiences at Disney."
Yeah.
And you trade that foundational place where you have a lot of security for a new level of freedom I'd never experienced in 26 years. And, and my wife and I also made a conscious choice that, we're going to assume I'm never going to make as much money as I was making at Disney. Maybe we will. That'd be nice, but maybe we're not. But we made a conscious choice that moving forward for us, it's about experiences versus accumulation of wealth, I guess.
And that's really interesting because, I again, going back to the book I'm writing, we were talking about that yesterday. I was talking to my co-author and I said, "Listen, I don't want this book to be about take risks. I want this book to be about being happy. And in order to take a risk, you have to be happy. So if you don't have health insurance, if you can't afford to pay for your kids' tuition, if you can't afford a container of milk, if you can't afford to pay for your car, that's not the time to take the risk."
Exactly.
You've got to get in a position to feel, okay, it's risky. And my wife had medical insurance and had a pension. So even if I risked everything, I know I could at least have milk on the table. I may not have vacation money, but I knew I'd be okay. And I was able to jump into TV and do what I was going to do. Yep. But what people see is they see someone like you, see someone like me, see someone like Glenn as risk takers. Okay, we're risk takers with a brain. We take calculated risks.
Speak for yourself.
I will never jump out of an airplane ever. Because you pack my parachute. But I have driven the Autobahn 170 miles an hour because I have control of the steering wheel. Okay, so to me, what you just said is a great example. That's why I stopped here. It's really important, and that's why I put a pin in it, because I want young people or even people listening to, and they want to go into a different career. That's fine, but your job is to be happy. If you take that risk and it fails, and you don't have milk and you can't afford your mortgage, you will not be happy.
Right.
So that's a really good point you made.
Yeah, and no matter what you do, you will not be happy all the time. So
Right.
if you're happy,
Happiness is hard.
the time you have a great life.
Well,
Happiness is hard.
You're going to have to deal with crap you don't want to do, and that's real.
Well, that's also an interesting observation, Dan, because here in like American society in particular, and I can only speak to us because that's a culture I was raised in. We have this expectation of being happy all the time, but that is not the human condition. Happiness is a fleeting thing, right? You have to have a lot of other things that are part of you to feel comfortable and secure, but that happiness it's always ephemeral, right?
Social media has ruined us because every photo. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, hey, I'm in Boulder. It's sunny. I'm talking to you. It's like I got up this morning and my wife's like, you shouldn't eat that. And we were putting a presentation together and she said, that's not a good idea. And we got in an argument. I mean, it's not like everything is great. I come on here and smile and life is good. But yeah, everyone's got problems. But on Instagram, on social media, we have this false sense that everything is great in the world and we're missing out. And it just isn't true.
Right. All right. Well, Jeff, our producer, popped on. It must be super important. Jeff, what's up?
Oh, super important. Dan, I lived in Boulder for 10 years, and I just had to say that a great shot of the Flatirons behind you.
That's right.
Do you want to tell anybody about the Flatirons?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to tell. We're on the roof of my daughter's apartment building. She lives right across from campus, and she's moving out in 2 weeks. But go and tell them about the Flatirons because you know them better than I do.
All right, he's got to come back.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Oh, here he is.
It's better if you tell him. I'm not good with words. That's why I'm off camera.
Okay. Well, the Flatirons behind me. It's a mountain range, and there's
it looks like the mountains are giving you a little trouble there, Dan.
5 and they're really these flat things, and they're
that's not
good. Just take them out and put them back in.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, Dan. We're having a little connecting issues with you. So sad. All right, let's bring it back in. Dan, we're having your internet is breaking up on us, buddy. All right.
Can you hear us?
This makes for great broadcasting.
Well,
so while we're waiting for his he's totally dropped off now. Well, let's go.
Maybe he'll come in. So let me pick up where he left off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for those people wanting to make a transition, and we talked about how you made yours and I made mine and all that stuff.
Yep.
But it's really important to never let your burning desire to do what you want to do, because that's your happiness. With that said, you got to check boxes. You just got to. You've got to make sure you have a little bit of cash. You got to make sure that you know how you're going to get taken care of if you don't have medical insurance, because if something goes wrong, you don't want to be paying, medical bills the rest of your life. You've got to have a basic foundation of, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of food, safety, shelter. You got to have it. You got to basically take care of that foundation.
All right. So what happens then?
Once you do, you can take that risk.
All right. So what if you don't, Anthony? What if you're somebody
you better be 18.
Right. As I say, what if you're caught up in that cycle of poverty? You don't really have much money. You're still working an hourly job. You want to chase your dream. You don't want to.
And you got nothing to lose. Then you better do it, because you got nothing to lose. Because your base, my base was a little bit higher than that when I jumped. When I was a kid, it wasn't. My base was 0, so I went to the Air Force. So it depends on where your base is, right? You don't want taking a step backwards, but you have to have a safety net. You always do. So if you have nothing to lose, that's different. If you're living in a homeless shelter and you got zero money and you're on welfare, you got nothing to lose. So go, man, go sell pencils, go do whatever you got to do, and go follow your dreams. But I'm talking about a person that is transitioning
Yeah.
from maybe a career they're not happy with, and they have responsibilities that that you don't want to make your life harder than it is now. If you're not happy now, you're probably bored.
Yeah, I agree. But there's
And
also
boredom is one thing, but poverty and not being able to afford to put milk on the table is a different thing.
But there's right now, though, we're at a very unique inflection point for a lot of people. A lot of folks have been sidelined in their careers. They're not working right now. They may be collecting unemployment. They may not be able to be collecting unemployment. But perhaps now, Anthony, is one of those times to take those risks, because it is you've got nothing to lose situation if nobody's hiring and you don't have a job, right?
Absolutely. You have nothing to lose. It's like it's going to take you a while to get a job in the hotel business, and you want to open up a store, you want to do something different. Maybe now is the time to do that. And, maybe you're in a situation financially where you can, and maybe 6 months you won't be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So in this vein of great leadership, what are some of the things that you would think you would do to train yourself to be a good leader now, if you have some of that downtime and you're not out, in the workplace every day?
Kind of what I always do is, it's not about me. It's just not. I mean, it's about the people around me and making people happy, and to understand and empathize and be grateful, and to understand the things that came out of COVID that were horrendous, like losing people that we loved. But also what's come out where maybe you're reflecting on what's important in life, that you have more time with your children. Every night we eat dinner at 6 o'clock. I've been home for 4 months. Okay. And like this morning when I called you up, I said, hey, can my kids live in your house? So for 4 months we've been together, and it's been wonderful. Right. But we've been 4 months, and I'm like, okay, I need to get on an airplane.
Right.
But I appreciate, I look at my friend who has a child with autism, and I'm grateful for him, because he's such an inspiration to me as a father. So right. I just double down on gratitude. That's the start of all great leaders.
Right. All right. So we got a question from the audience over here. How many people are unemployed as of today? I don't know the exact number read, but it was as much as 70% of the entire workforce in the hospitality business. It's gone down a little bit, but not significantly.
Hold on. Let me look. I have the number.
You have? Okay, great.
Yeah. Shitload.
Yeah. I thought it was a shitload or a fuck ton, something like that, right?
Yeah. It could go to an F load.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that right. Right, that's a good point. Now it's time to look at starting a new venture, since it may take 3 months to build it. You're right about that, Mark, because quite frankly, Anthony, we've been building this thing for 3 or 4 months, and we're on the verge of kicking this into high gear now.
What is the greatest commercial marketing success in branding? What's the one?
New Coke.
No.
Crystal Pepsi. I'm just going to stick with beverages.
What are the 3 words that were the greatest branding ever of any major company?
There's so many really good ones. To me, one of the best ones is whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that's much more than 3 words. Just do it. Nike.
Just do it. Right.
I think that one really resonates with me.
Just do it, man. It's like, I can go off for 2 hours straight, but if you do it, people will criticize you. If you don't do it, people will criticize you. Who cares? Stop playing the movie in your head that what people think. Just do it. But make sure you have a little bit of a cushion, and then jump as far as you can. Right. So the cushion could be as simple as this: that you have a family, and you want to do something else. Maybe your mom and dad have the backing and say, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm about to do this. Right. If it goes sideways, can you spot me for a year? Can you take care of me? Can we move into your second part of your house? There's got to be some. And once you have something, boom, you got to do it. What are you smiling about? All right,
I was laughing about this. Mike McManus's comment, "Where's the beef?" Because that was really one of the best marketing campaigns of all times. That's great too. I know that Clapper commercial where the old lady was in the bed going like that. That was really funny.
How about that changes everything?
Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. That's not what I wanted to bring up. I've been buying hotel stocks during this pandemic, keeping fingers crossed red. That's a smart move right now. And behind the scenes, Jeff, the producer,
No,
said,
wait. Let's not give out stock advice. Maybe that's a smart move. Maybe it's not a smart move. Let's not give
I am not a sanctioned broker. I am not offering up anything. Legal disclaimer.
So did our guest leave? He doesn't.
I think he's having internet problems and he wasn't able to pop back on. So, what are you gonna do? Maybe we'll have him back because he's such.
Do you have his cell number?
Dude.
Do you have his cell number?
I don't have it handy on me.
Jeff, do you have his cell number? I'll call him.
No, he doesn't. So
while Glenn looks for his cell number, I'll tell you a knock, Joe. Knock.
Who's there?
I got nothing.
All right, excellent. Look, I think we just got to get Dan.
That's a good one too. Got milk.
Yeah. I think we got to get Dan on back here another time to talk about it because I really wanted to ask him the most important question of all was that I heard that he told people that the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars land was actually supposed to be the original trilogy, and then they changed it last minute before they started building it. So I wanted to press him on that. So I'm a big fan of the original trilogy and not so much with the new one.
Less about that, but please, yeah.
That hurts my feelings, Anthony.
So wait, there's a comment here. I want to.
Go for it.
Hold on. I want you to post it. Hold on.
What, the one that's already up there?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to interrupt my podcast because my daughter needs something. Yes, daughter.
Yeah. Anthony Melchiori, you are my mentor, and I want to join live with you to share the story of how you impacted my life and how to get into the hotel business. Well, I would answer for Anthony, but there he is. He's talking to his daughter right now. Yeah, Anthony, you want to answer this question?
Yeah, my daughter wanted to borrow the car to go get sandwiches.
Great. It's a shame she didn't realize that you're on air live every day at noon.
Yeah, she does, but she doesn't care, which is great. I don't want her to care.
Yeah.
So what is the?
Wait, hold on. Jeff is here.
Yeah, I'll answer the question for Anthony. Anybody that wants to come on the show, we'd love to hear stories of hospitality professionals. So feel free to email me at jeff@rouse.media, and we'll put you in touch with David, our show booker, and try to get you on.
So yeah, and just scroll that email again so he has it. So yes, I remember, and I won't go into it because I want to have him on. I didn't know I was his mentor, and I didn't know that he. Thank you so much. Wow, that's what it's about, man. Yeah, hold on, I didn't read it. Wow, thank you very much. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Listen, like I said, it's gratitude, man. It's gratitude. My favorite Lee Clocker. What does it say? Go ahead.
He gave his pants away at the Orlando airport to a young couple who could not board their flight and went home and to purchase a pair of sweatpants. Servant leadership at its finest.
But come on, those are the moments in life that you live for, right? It's like you see a young couple, you know you can go get another pair of pants. Yeah, take mine. I'll be right back. That is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Anthony. Any final thoughts for today before we wrap up?
Words matter. Leadership matters. We're lacking a lot of it right now. But you can be the leader. You can be the change you want to see.
I disagree with you. There are plenty of words out there. No leaders. Plenty of words.
There's be the change you want to see in the world. Period. End of story. Like again, what makes me happy? What brings me happiness? My daughter knocked on the door. She just couldn't wait another 5 minutes. She could have waited 5 minutes, but she needed to knock on the door because she wanted to go get sandwiches with a friend on the beach. She's been cooped up for months. Mm-hmm. Am I going to be mad because she interrupted my show? She knows she shouldn't do it, but I'm not going to get mad at her. Yeah, maybe 6 months ago I would have gotten mad at her, but come on. I think the kid graduated high school in the basement. I think we're good.
Right. I think so too. I got to tell you, there's one thing that this lockdown and quarantine has really done for me personally. It's made me not worry about stuff like that before. There's a little tech error on here. Who cares? It happens. If the cat jumps on screen, who cares? It's what happens.
Do you know what I'm like really, and as we do keynote speeches around the world again, once we start doing it, and it's going to wind up in my book too, is I am really
hold on.
I'm really frustrated.
Dan, I think that's Stinkerino that you do not have great enough internet access to connect. When you get home, let's get you back on again. Thank you so much for being here, and I really want to mine your brain for more information.
Hey, it's so funny. He can run Disney parks, but he can't get on the internet. So is that why I've always had bad internet when I was in Disney? No, I'm just kidding. So this is what gets me really, really, really angry. And then when we'll end because nobody wants to hear me when I get like this. But
I don't.
But I didn't have control over how I was born, where I was born, what color I was born, how tall I was, how handsome I am. I was born.
Wait, hold on. Breaking news.
You hear me?
He's back.
Oh, he's back.
I get like this.
That is so embarrassing.
You know what? Now I realize, Dan, you didn't leave Disney. Disney asked you to leave them because you couldn't figure out the internet connection.
I used to have this amazing IT support. That's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, that's the Flatirons. You can hike up them. It's fun.
No,
I just have to say it's typical Boulder. You know, they're spending so much time outdoors in the mountains that they don't even bother getting fast internet.
so you know what's great, Dan, is as an entrepreneur now, and when you were working at Disney World, and like you said, you turned around and there's 75 people doing what you need done. How is it to go and realize that you have to do your own Excel spreadsheet?
I'll tell you, it has been. Obviously, we find lots of people to contract out to help us, do what we need to do. But learning how to do stuff again and getting involved in building things has been great. And it's, the art of delegation is still there, and we're finding people along the way. And now with the technology, I mean, I got the person who does all the social media, lives in Denver, graphic designer lives in Chicago. And you got a team all over the place.
So what is your mission? What is your job? What is your business?
So my wife and I started a company, Cockerell Consulting. Now it's called. She worked for Disney for 15 years and facilitated at the Disney Institute. And so I just finished writing a book that's going out on August 11th called "How's the Culture in Your Kingdom," which talks about.
I love that.
Yeah, how do you create a culture where people can thrive? And it's just not at work. It's family. Wherever you spend time, there's a culture. And if you can make that culture healthy and positive, people will thrive. We do keynote speeches. We do workshops. We're now doing webinars. We're selling webinars. We consult in Croatia, Peru, Jackson, Mississippi.
Cool.
So the past 2 years has been, we get our fingers into everything and see what sticks, and that's our business.
Well, that's great. And I would love to, I'm actually going to, hopefully by next year, we're going to do a conference, and I would love to have you as one of my speakers.
That would be great.
Yeah. And would like to have you, the day the book drops, if that's okay with Glenn, I know it's just another 5-6 weeks, have you back and maybe read a couple of your favorite moments of the book.
That'd be great. Yeah, love to.
So give me the name of the book again.
How is the culture in your kingdom?
Okay, so give me the moment where you were when you decided the name of your book.
Well, there wasn't a moment, but here's the story. I was at the outgoing dean at the Crummer Graduate School at Rollins College, where I attended, was giving his last lecture. And he had a line in that speech, and he said, culture is like the weather. It's the environment that we all spend time in and connect in. And I just heard that, and I said, man, there's something there. And I kept thinking about it. And one night it came to me, and I said, you know what? How is the weather in your kingdom? And I kept that title for all the way up to the day I talked to the publisher. And they said, look, we love everything you've done. We love the book, but you don't confuse the consumer. People don't know what that means. How's the weather in your kingdom? It's like, you don't want to confuse people. Put the word culture for weather. People understand what you're talking about. You're going to sell a lot more books. And I had no arguments with that. And so we changed.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I wouldn't change the premise of it, but yeah, changing that one word, it resonated with me.
Yeah, good.
You said it, and that's why I asked you how you came up with it. Because every day I call Glenn and I have a new title for my book. Yesterday, my wife doesn't like.
Yesterday's was effing awesome, though.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like the title. I said your personal brand effing matters, and my wife doesn't like that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's how's the culture in your kingdom with a small K. it's one of the few words that Disney has not copyrighted. So I jumped on that.
And so let's go back. I know you, Glenn has a pressing question for you that I can care less about.
No, I'm not too worried about that question. I just wanted to get this scoop on, the original trilogy not being represented versus the new trilogy at Galaxy's Edge, because I know you've spoken publicly about that before, but we don't need to go through that. But what we do,
we can. Sure, there's plenty of people that want to know that. So go ahead.
I tell that story. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'd like to hear it, because I'm a big fan of the original trilogy. My kids are a big fan of the original trilogy, and the fact that none of them are represented there makes me a little bit sad.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 49.
That's why it makes you sad, because you're that generation.
Because I was a 6-year-old boy who was blown away the first time I saw that movie in '77.
I know. So I left Epcot after 2 years being a VP there. That was my first VP role. And I went to the Disney's Hollywood Studios, and Hollywood Studios was the next place that we had to quote unquote fix.
Right.
It needed a lot of we needed more family rides. We needed something to light it up. New Fantasyland had been built.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar,
that took forever and ever and ever. So that was an Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, Epcot was doing its thing, and they're now working on what they're doing. But we went to studios, and I worked for 2 years on what the new studios was going to look like. And we went through all kinds of all the Pixar, all the franchises, what ride systems should we have, how, it was basically how do we re-engineer this whole park and move all the blocks around. And for 2 years, I worked with the Imagineering team in Glendale, and we worked on Star Wars Land. We didn't have a name for it at the time, but it was going to be Star Wars, and it was Delos was the code name for the land, and we were going to build it near the Indiana Jones stunt theater, and we were going to put it in there, and there was going to be a cantina, and it was going to be Tatooine, and we worked and worked and worked, and then one day I got a call, and I went to see my boss, and he said, Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy met yesterday. So Kathleen Kennedy being the George Lucas's sort of protege. And she told him that, here's an idea. There are more Star Wars story ahead of us than behind us. And if we build Tatooine, we are going to be outdated quickly, and kids are going to wonder what that thing is, because they're not going to recognize that planet, because for a bunch of old people who saw the movie when they were 6. Right. And said, let's think about what the stories ahead are, and let's build it in a way that it will be timeless. The same way Pandora is. If you go to Pandora at Magic Kingdom,
which is phenomenally executed,
and it was built to represent what Pandora looked like 50 years after the last movie, which you haven't even seen yet. So whatever they do, it's going to be 50 years beyond that. So they can't. They're not going to miss anything that isn't already there. And it was the same with Star Wars. Let's build a place that's going to be relevant for all the stories that are coming, because we got a bunch ahead of us. And that was, I was heartbroken. And so there's a stack of plans somewhere in Glendale with Tatooine, and they started over. And as I mentioned in the podcast, the Imagineers, they were cussing. They went out that night and they drank, and they called me the next day. All right, let's get started. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we got to start designing the new land. I'm like, aren't you guys pissed off? They go, we were yesterday, but this has happened before, Dan. This isn't the first time, and we're getting after it. And then they built Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and that's why Disney's been Disney for so long, and that's why there's Disney and there's everybody else. And that one little thing, talk about culture and talk about leadership and talk about words mattering and vision. That one little moment that they had in that office changed everything. And I'm still fascinated. I'm a Disney fan, but I'm not one of those, tattoo on my, shoulder Disney fan.
I'm in between.
I've been Disney 15 times. I'll bring my grandkids when I have grandkids, but I don't need to go to Disney every day. But with that said, it's part of my life, and my kids love it and everything else. What fascinates me, and maybe you can give me a little bit of the inside scoop here, inside baseball. How in God's name has Space Mountain not changed anything, and it's still one of the most popular rides in Disney? I was on Space Mountain when I was 9.
Yeah.
I'm 55. Yeah. I'm 55 years old.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. It is there's something about it. Sometimes the old becomes the new, and
freaking awesome.
you sit in that little thing. It's a sled. So the feel of it is just so cool. You're not sitting in a seat. You're like inside a capsule, and it's in the dark. There's lots of turns. It's almost like the simplicity of it is what the draw is, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the darkness has a lot to do with it, right?
Also, I do want to make a point of clarification here, Anthony. The math doesn't work out for you to have gone on Space Mountain at age 9, because I don't think it opened until 1975.
So I was 10.
Only, yeah, right. So there, thank you.
And the reason
He was fact checked.
and the reason I ran into 9 is because 9 was like when first time I ever went on a plane. It was the first time I went to Disney World. So I went to
me
Disney
too.
at
Eastern
9.
Airlines.
So I went to Disney at Delta Airlines. I was 9 years old. So maybe the second year I went to Magic Kingdom.
For me, it was Eastern Airlines, and I loved going on.
It was Eastern.
Yeah, and I love going on the ride with "If You Had Wings, Had Wings." that one that was such a great little ride with that little tunnel that made you seem like you're going super fast. But Dan, we got a question here, because you had mentioned something about how you're outsourcing and stuff like that. What's the best way to balance outsourcing and delegating? Their turnover with outsource is kind of high and slows down their growth. So how have you been able to balance it to find the right mix that you need to keep moving forward and be successful?
Yeah. So for me, they're the same. When the word outsource makes it seem like it's some transactional thing you're doing.
Right.
Everyone I work with, I consider them personal friends. I call them, I check in on them. Every once in a while, I send them flowers or send them a box of chocolate and thank them for all the great work they're doing for me.
Awesome.
It's not just a contract where you invoice me, you pay me, you give it. They're part of my team. And I think a lot of companies, because of the silos you create, you treat people differently according to the business relationship you have. Mm-hmm. And all the people I work with, we get on, we talk about my kids, we talk about their kids, we talk about all kinds of stuff, and then we talk about what we need to get done. And I treat them like personal friends. I treat them like they're working for me, and that at the end of the year, I have to retain them, and they're going to do a leadership survey on how well I was able to manage them and lead them. And I don't see a difference between how I'm working for an employee working for me, an outsource, a third-party contractor, whatever that is, they're part of my team. And if you treat them that way, they will perform for you that way. And so invest in the relationship.
And that's perfectly said. And, I don't have one person that works for me, but I have a pretty big team, and they're all outsourced. They're all 1099, all independent contractors. And, I don't see the difference as well. And that's well said. So let me ask you a question. Give me a moment outside of the moment to getting your book where you were a young manager. Okay. And someone is a leader, a manager, whatever, it could have been even your counterpart, said something or did something, or when you said, hey, you know what? I think this is something here. I want to do something. It gave you the confidence to get to the next step. Was there one person that was there a moment? I remember when I was in the military, a colonel said to me, do a little bit more, you go a lot further. And then I did. And then a couple months later, he looked at me, he goes, man, you're everywhere I want to be. You're like the American Express card.
Yeah. To tell the truth, Anthony, I can't remember a moment, but I have, I think one of the reasons I loved working at Disney was you don't have to stay in your lane. You can go talk to anyone you want to talk to. And that's part of the culture. The doors really are open. Now you got to, once you get to the door, you have to have something, valuable to say, but I always saw, and that's why I had 19 different jobs with the company. I'm kind of wired that I love meeting people and getting involved in stuff. And that was my personality. And so once I was able to put my personality in an organization that valued that, it was so much easier to say, hey, go get interested in that and go, you're working here. Why don't you go find out how that operates? And I think a lot of people say, well, I'm not being developed right now. Well, where you're working, there's a bunch of stuff you don't understand and you don't know about. You just got to go ask questions. And if you get a little curious, and by the way, you have a computer in your pocket that can give you any answer to any question ever posed by man in your pocket. So your ability to go find new opportunities to learn and get involved in other things is that's all on you, is in my opinion.
One of the things I say to people, I said, if you have a PhD from Harvard, or MIT in the room, and they don't have a phone in their pocket, but you do, who's the smartest person in the room?
Right. Yeah. All the resources are there. And, I did a 38 series daily webinar or podcast during the quarantine, and we called it Lemons to Lemonade. And it was only 5 or 6 minutes long. And we said, if you're at home on the couch, worried and complaining, you're losing a lot of time of your life right now. And I started 10 different free mastermind classes. I said, hey guys, who wants to get on the phone every day at 1? And I had 120 people rotating every 10 people, 12 people every day, every 2 weeks going through it. I had people from Australia, Canada, South America, Europe. And now they're calling me going, hey, we got a conference.
Right.
And so what I found being an entrepreneur is when you give a lot, it all comes back to you. It comes back tomorrow, next month, next year, 20 years from now.
You have two things going for you. One, you're obviously incredibly bright and you're a leader, but you have that brand, right? And when I was at the Plaza Hotel, as soon as it was stamped on my resume, Plaza Hotel, everybody wanted to hear from you, right? You have Disney and you can do one of two things. You can just be another Disney exec that's out there that's trying to be a consultant, or you can be the consultant that happens to have worked at Disney.
That's what I want to get to. I want to get to a place where they only reason they want to hire me is because my wife and I are awesome, and you don't even know where I worked.
Right. And I always say when I walk in the door, I'm the TV hotel guy. When I walk out the door, I want you to forget I ever had a TV show.
Right.
You had a TV show? Yeah.
Did you ever see The Rifleman with George? Remember The Rifleman?
I remember it. Yeah.
Right. That was me.
That was you? I didn't know you went back that far. That's pretty awesome.
Chuck Connery, man. I'm Chuck Connery.
It's funny you should say all that, Dan, because I actually feel some guilt anytime I ask you a Disney-related question, because I know you're like beyond all of that, right?
No. That's that's in my DNA.
Listen, without Disney, he wouldn't be where he is. So he honors that, and that's what's really healthy, right? It's like if you see these sitcom people, like, and they're just miserable. It's like, I don't want to be known as, blah, blah, blah. It's like, listen. 50 years from now, if you call me the hotel guy, I'm going to kiss you, because the hotel guy, by being the hotel guy, I put food on the table and my kids go to college.
Yep.
So I'm good, man. Thank you. Call me the hotel guy all the time you want. That does not mean that I want to call myself the hotel guy. That does not mean I want to do Hotel Impossible the rest of my life. That doesn't mean that I'm still thinking about that. That means I've moved on. But you always have to honor what made you, successful. You would have been successful no matter what. But Disney literally you had 26 years in the greatest university in the world.
Yep. It's true.
That's awesome. All right. So Dan, we're going to get you back here when your book comes out, so we can help get that message out for you. That's for sure. Just promise to have a more stable internet connection next time.
Yeah. I'm going to plug in.
Yeah, that's right. The first month that we did the show, Anthony and I were all on Wi-Fi, and it was a complete mess. Then we finally invested in getting the gear and stuff that we needed to do in order to make it work. There you go. Right. So it's a learning process. This has been really interesting for us developing this business as this COVID hit. Any final words of advice or thoughts before we let you go for today? And be sure to give yourself a good plug too.
Yeah. Is that for me or Anthony?
For you. No, Anthony knows how to plug himself already.
I'll plug it. Yeah. Yeah. So my wife just finished redesigning our new website. My website we put together in a couple weeks is called dancockerell.com. The new one is cockerellconsulting.com. And you can see both of us on there. And it's pretty slick, and you can see what we're doing. The book is for sale today on
Amazon.
culture-kingdom.com or Amazon. You can pre-order it. It comes out August 11th. Actually, I'd love you to pre-order it so I can pump up some numbers that first week and maybe do well.
Beautiful. How about this? We're gonna find the link to it, and we'll put it out there for you.
Hey, do me a favor, Dan. I'm gonna put my cell number in the box.
Yep.
Right here in our private chat. And can you give me your cell number and let's stay in touch?
That'd be great. Actually, my cell number is on my website, so you can call. Anyone can call me anytime.
Right, if you can give it to me, because I'll just text me, because I probably won't do it.
I will.
Is your book right now? Could I read your book right now?
I will text you. You text me your address, and you'll have one by the end of next week.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, we'd definitely like to read that. All right, I just put out the address of it online.
And then the last thing. My grandfather he was in the Naval Academy. He was a class of 42, so they graduated in 3 years so they could go to war. He was on the Columbia during World War II. He was a naval architect, incredible guy. And he gave me a quote. I still have it home framed that he wrote down, and it's in my book, and I use it all the time. It says, you do your best and then you forgive yourself. And I've learned kind of to live life that way, because if you're going to go out and you're going to have a great time in adventures, you're going to get in bad situations. You're going to make bad errors. You're going to have poor judgment. You're going to make mistakes, and you got to forgive yourself and don't carry that around with you. And then you do your best and you forgive yourself, and you get up the next day and you come in and you try to be the best again. And that's how my wife and I and our kids like to live life, is just
that's beautiful.
So I'll leave you.
What? And I'm going to write that quote down because that is a great quote. Someone the other day asked me, what were your biggest mistakes? And I couldn't answer the question because I'm just already on to something else. And I wish I would have had that quote in my back pocket, because that sums up my mind. Thank you. That's probably the best quote I've heard in 10 years.
That's great. Thanks, Anthony.
Dan, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in August. All right.
We'll be back. Great talking.
Right. Awesome, man.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. Take care. Man, that was a lot of fun. I really like that guy. I love his positive energy. What an incredible spirit.
You like him better than me. I'm very upset. You want him
Anthony,
to be you want him to be your co-host.
Anthony, we go through this all the time. I like everybody else more than you. Why is this shocking?
You know what I like, and his quote, I'll just leave it there. His quote just sums up everything. Do your best and then forgive yourself. That is it, man. Like, I have not heard that quote before, and that is an incredible quote. I got to tell that to my children.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here? Maybe a little, how about this? Text the word hotel to 66866. Make sure you get our weekly newsletter. All of the shows put in one easy package, plus a lot of other stuff for you. Again, text the word hotel to 66866. I want to thank everyone who was on the Hotel Reboot show yesterday. We got another one coming on in 2 weeks. Check that out at hotelreboot.com. Anthony, how about some hospitality success?
Those weeks talk about the jobs I didn't get. Well, let me tell you a job I didn't get. You see that I have very big ears. I was in line to get the Mickey Mouse job, and they didn't hire me.
What?
Yeah.
That is offensive to me.
Yeah, and Minnie didn't like me. So
that I can respect.
Go to hospitalitysuccess.com. Go to Hospitality Success on Facebook, and also go to GoFundMe, USA Hospitality Strong, and please help us help the hospitality industry.
Right.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. And remember, when Disney World does reopen, come on down there. Anthony will be posing as Goofy, we'll be able to have.
Dude, we screwed up. We never asked a question about Disneyland.
Oh shit! Oh well.
Is he still there?
No.
No.
Oh well.
We suck at this.
Yeah. Well. Who knows? This is why nobody's giving me a show here, because we're obviously not capable of it. Anthony, thank you so much. Another great day, and we will be back tomorrow, right?
God willing.
All right. So remember, everybody, thanks for being here. And you've got one life, so blaze on and